welcome to BBC Ouch Storytelling Live! The stories we're going to be hearing tonight are about love and relationships, and I do have a very long, lasting relationship with my psychologist. Am I right, BBC Ouch people? High five, high five. I've seen my psychologist for 10 years now, 10 years. She's incredible. She's always trying to help me get out of, all my mental health issues, and there's quite a few. We have depression, we have anxiety, and binge eating disorder, which is the cool one. I don't know if you know about that. It's where you eat so you can't feel anything, right? Because it hurts. There's a lot of pain inside because, you can feel the bones if you just swallow them. And so there's a lot of pain right in my throat after a good piece of chicken. My psychologist is amazing. She's a very, very good psychologist, an incredible psychologist. For those of you who can't see me, I'm fat, and that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. I like being fat. I love my body. I think everyone should love my body, because, yeah, why wouldn't you? And but that means that sometimes people will give me advice on how to lose weight. People will be like, oh, you should stop eating sugar. And I'm like, I can't stop eating sugar, because then I'll feel. And that's the reason I eat, is to not feel all the feelings. I have a depression and anxiety. I don't want to feel my feelings. My psychologist once tried to fix it. We were trying to deal with some of the feelings that I don't know how to show. For example, anger. I'm very bad with anger. I don't know how to express anger. So when I do express anger, it kind of explodes, right? So she tried to fix that. So she said to me, next time you feel angry, just try and express it. And I said, oh no, no, I don't think that's not enough food in the world for me to feel angry. I'm sorry, that's not gonna happen. And she said, listen, this is what you do. Next time you feel angry, you just say the words, I am angry. And I said, okay, this is on you. I went from that session, I was very, pleased with what I was about to do. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna actually try and feel my anger, and I'm going to try and express it. And I was practicing the sentence, I am angry, I am angry. For the next times that would happen, I could say that out loud. And I met with my friend, my best friend. Her name is Ina. Ina's beautiful. Ina's a very optimistic, happy person. She's always smiling, just the most, like she believes in things like love. What an idiot, right? And she met me at the station, and I hugged her, and she said, oh my God, I'm so happy to see you. I said, I'm so happy to see you. She said, do you want to go for dinner? I said, yeah, I'd love to go for dinner. She said, what do you feel like eating? I was like, oh, I don't know. I feel like having pasta. She said, oh, I feel like having Greek food. And then I punched her in the face. I punched her in the face. I saw this happen in slow motion. I was like, oh no. I could just see, and my fist was like, we're expressing feelings. And my heart was like, don't do it. Like, this is what we were afraid of. And I saw my fist just hit her stupid smiling face. And she never once stopped smiling. She was just like, okay, we'll have pasta. I think you're too passionate about this. I felt so bad. I didn't know what to do. I'd hit my friend. I don't want to be the kind of person to hit a friend. And I felt so bad. And she was just looking at me with her big blue eyes. And I didn't know what to say. So I just went, I am angry. Then I stopped feeling feelings for the rest of my life. That's somewhat of a fairy tale. I would love to introduce you to the first person on this stage. Are you up for being very, very nice? Of course you are. Please give it all for your first person of the night. It is Ruby McGann!
Everybody had already taken all the good disabilities, so I got left with dyspraxia. It's a developmental coordination disorder. It's a sort of less sexy cousin of dyslexia, which you'll have heard about. So it largely affects motor control and speech and memory and information processing. So what generally happens is that I fall over a lot and I cock everything up. So this is warning. Watch this space. So I love living alone because people. And so my favourite activity is sitting alone on the sofa in my pants watching telly. All about that. So I can't actually keep pets or houseplants alive, so I certainly can't keep love and affection alive. It's far too much commitment generally. I did a bit of online dating. And then it plays on your insecurities. It's a terrifying thing to do. Because you're waiting there to meet this date and you've written your profile and you're thinking, well, maybe taking 10 years off my age was a bit much, and I did use really flattering photos, and I did pretend I wasn't actually mental. So thinking I was a bit worried about what they're going to think. So you're waiting there and you're waiting to see him and you think, no, he'll be all right. Because people are better than that, and the mainstream media would have us believe that everybody's shallow and obsessed with how you look. And I thought, but I find that's not my experience with real people. Real people will see behind the mess that you often are, and they'll think, no, you're a beautiful person, you're a real person, I like that. So I thought I was feeling buoyed up about it. So I see him coming out of the station, I clock him, and I think, oh, you minger. And I thought, oh no. And often with dyspraxia, I come over, I was very loud and sweary and scary initially. If I don't know people especially, I just get a bit overpowering and overwhelming. And so people do get nervous around me. And this is what they've said. Obviously it's nonsense, and I will fight anyone that says otherwise. This is just a classic, apparently, dyspraxia symptom I hadn't realised. I used to think I was just this fascinating personality with all these quirks, and it was so interesting. I discovered I'm nothing but a list of symptoms. And I was very upset that I have nothing below it. I'm entirely two-dimensional. I'm just a condition. So this date's looking a bit nervous already, and that's before the content of what I've said has become apparent. It's just the presentation alone is scaring the guy. So I thought, well, go to the nearest pub. Traipsing along, so I'm going along as I usually do, stumbling over, tripping over, talking loudly, waving my arms around, hitting lampposts. And then we try and get into the pub, and the bouncer bars me. No, so you're not coming in. I said, what? And the guy says, no, you're obviously too drunk. You can't come in. No, I do get this a lot. Not always when I'm drunk, obviously. But so I'm saying to the guy, so I thought I'll argue with him, because as we all know, arguing the bouncer is you obviously win. You're never going to lose that argument talking to bouncers. So I say to him, mate, like, come on, this is because I'm Scottish, isn't it? You just assume I've been drinking all morning. So I'm not being gracious in defeat. I was just swearing and stomping off and having to go Jim under my breath and generally vindicating him. Just shouldn't be allowed in. But I was thinking I was looking quite good because I'm in my heels. I'd put my high heels on especially. So I can't walk in high heels. Can't barely stand in high heels, but this doesn't stop me. I'm in complete denial. And I imagine it makes me look like some girly, delicate little flower, all sanguine and sexy, when not like the angry tractor that I usually look like. Inevitably, though, we're going along and I fall. And I don't fall in the way I think I would fall in my head, like the little, I fell, let's go. So I would like to fall. No. I come along, and I stack it on the pavement. It was just a terrible mess of everything. Everybody's aware of it. And my top tip for this, because I've got an MO, because I fall over so many times, is don't style it out. Just stay on the ground. Because otherwise, everybody just mocks. People just stand there going, filming it for YouTube. Because that's hilarious. You stay down, they start to worry. Oh, hang on. might actually be seriously hurting. How bad will I look if I'm laughing? So you stay on that floor, listen to it all around you. You've got your pride, stay on the ground. So the date kind of picks me up off the ground, and I'm quite galled that he didn't prevent it happening in the first place. I'm already resentful. But fortunately, this is taking place outside a pub, so obvious course of action. So inside the pub, I go in, and the landlady sees me coming in bleeding everywhere, and she comes over with rolls of toilet paper, trying to stem the bleeding and save the furniture. So we send someone off for TCP, so I'm sitting there in the pub with blood, tissues, pouring this over my leg, because that adds to an ambience of a sexy date, I find. The smell of TCP everywhere. Who doesn't love that? So then at this point, I was like cracking over the wine. At this point, I am drinking. So, within seconds, I'm crying into the wine. Everything's so difficult. This is awful. Why is this happening to me? At this point, remember, then you're meant to chat, aren't you? It's a small talk conversation, which I can't do. I don't understand. So I tend to write. I'd written little cues up my arm and tried to pass it off as a tribal tattoo. So I'm chatting. I mean, what do you do? Where do you live? Pause for response. So I think, oh shit. So that was every bit as scintillating as you might imagine. So we decided to leave, and I think it was a left of our own volition, which is always a win, for not being asked to leave or anything. So that's top time. Can ask for better than that. So then I just get back home and try and forget all about it. Watch cartoons, sit on the sofa in my pants, watching telly. Equilibrium is restored. But then a few days later, I hear from Dave. He texts me. He wants to see me again. Why would you put yourself through that? What sort of person would want to experience all that again? What sort of self-esteem problems do you have, man? It's absolutely ridiculous. I think, God, I don't know anyone that wants to go out with me again. What a loser. And that'll be one of the many, many reasons I've been single for 10 years. And thank you for laughing at my misfortune. I'm very glad that you did.
Give it up for Ruby McKenna! Oh my God. That was her first time ever on stage. I've slept with worse comedians than that. Like, that was amazing. We are about to have another storyteller on the stage. Are you ready for that? Yay! Yay! Please give a warm round of applause for the amazing Mick Scarlett!
Now, when I first discussed with the BBC Ouch team what I'd be talking about today, I said, can I talk about how I met my wonderful wife, who's sitting just there? Hello, wonderful wife. About the romantic story of seeing her across a crowded dance floor, and how I immediately knew that she was the one for me. No, they said, no, that's really boring. What we want is something edgy, something that's going to push boundaries. And then I thought, I know, I'm going to talk about my willy and sex, because that's edgy, isn't it? But I woke up one morning, on the morning of my German O-level, and found that my legs hurt and my back really hurt. And every time I tried to stand up, I fell over. So, of course, an ambulance was called. I was rushed to hospital, and it transpired that my spine had collapsed. Yes, it is true, folks. You can break your back in your sleep. I just thought I'd tell all you bipeds that just to make your day. So eventually I came out of hospital, and as you can tell, I had lost the ability to walk. There was no more standing for me. And there was also no more standing to attention down there. I had lost what the doctors call erectile function. Knew that would happen. Complete silence. Right? So I thought, that's it. Game over, man. Game over. I thought that was it. So I thought, oh, I got really down and depressed. I thought, I know, I'll become what's known as the world's best male friend. And all my girlfriends would come round, and I'd do their hair, and I'd do their makeup, and I'd dress them all up, and then I'd send them out on dates, normally with blokes wearing leather jackets, which is why I now wear leather all the while, and own mopeds, and if they were real bastards, they owned a Ford Capri. Which, trust me, when I was young, was a giveaway sign that it was going to be bad. And then what would happen is, that night, she'd come back round the house and cry on my shoulder, go, Mick, he had sex with me and then he dumped me. Oh, why can't boys be like you? I, of course, didn't see this as what I would now obviously recognise as a come-on. What I thought was, well, they're never going to want to be with me because I can't do it. So I would be like, oh, yeah, don't worry, next time you'll be fine. One of my best female friends came to me and said, look, Mick, I've met this girl and I'm in love, I think she's great. Will you come to a party and meet her and all of her friends? Yeah, of course. So I arrived, I was the one wearing the most makeup in the room. We're all there and we're all getting on famously. And then, as was the fashion back then, it was time for a game and everyone said, let's play Truth or Dare. We always play Truth or Dare at every party. I don't know why, because it always ended up with a row. Normally because we were either too truthful or too daring. Normally too truthful. But I thought, this could be it. This could be my chance. I can tell my secret. Because up until then, I'd kept it quite quiet. My brother didn't know. My mum and dad didn't know. Even my doctors didn't know. I was keeping it in. Yes, I was going to admit to Mr. Floppy. It was going to be great. Were they sympathetic? Were they caring? Not at first. You know when someone laughs just beyond that point where it's just, hang on a minute, it's not funny anymore. This is, I'm feeling really upset. It was that. Then eventually my friend wiped away the tears, got her breath back, came up, stood up, got off the floor, whacked me around the head and said, Mick, you idiot, we're girls. We don't have willies. And we make love to girls, and we do it very well. Yay, they all cried. Of course they did. And I thought, duh. I honestly hadn't worked that out, which kind of shows how innocent I was as a teenager. So at the time, sort of lesbianism and feminism were very, very closely associated, and they were very radical, these girls. And they truly believed that what was wrong with the planet was men and their erectile function and penetration. All penetration was bad. So suddenly, I was this new type of man, a man that was the next evolutionary leap for man, according to these girls. And they thought it was great. I really like these girls, they were cool. And they took me under their wing. And they even made me an honorary lesbian. And I used to go on lesbian marches. There was me and a load of girls and just this bloke wearing lots of makeup looking like a Boy George on wheels. Kind of like between Boy George and the Dalek, going, yeah, down with men. Men are bad, yeah, right? And they also taught me how to make love to a woman like a woman. Now I wonder how many people here are imagining some kind of weird pornographic thing. No, I'm still a guy. They still wouldn't have gone near me. They just told me with, words, not actions, sadly. But there you go. And when I was telling the BBC Ouch team about this, they said, are you going to tell anyone? Are you going to tell us what they said? Are you going to tell us? Are you going to tell us? Please tell us. Well, no, I'm not. No, I'm afraid I'm not letting you know, because that would be betraying the sisterhood and actually letting all those trade secrets out. So girls, if you want to know what it's like, you're just going to have to make love to a woman. Thank you very much, and good night.
Give it up for Mick Scarlett! That was amazing. I think everyone could learn from that story. Everyone. Everyone. If anyone wants any pointers, I'll be at the bar. Are you ready for another storyteller? Yes, then please put your hands together and give it up for the amazing John Luca Trombetta.
Hello. So I grew up with hearing loss, moderately severe, which means that essentially I can't function in society without my hearing aids. So I got these small devices. The funny thing is that I didn't wear them until I was like 20 years old. So for the first 20 years of my life, I didn't hear much. So how did I get by? I essentially just hung out with a lot of loud people. Literally. And so I grew up in Italy, so maybe you've heard some of those people over there. I come from a family, we are 14 people. Everyone is very loud. You can't really understand how loud they are. And every time I go back for Christmas, I have to take my hearing aids off. It's just crazy. So I have a girlfriend. Her name is Elise. She is British, from Newcastle. But she doesn't have a Geordie accent, otherwise I'm not sure I would understand anything she's saying. But she speaks very loudly and she moves her hands a lot. And as an Italian, I find this very attractive. The only thing, she can speak quite fast. When we moved in together, communication was a little bit complicated. Because she is not used to speak to someone who has hearing loss, so she speaks to me as I have perfect hearing. And even if I wear hearing aids, the thing is that I can't hear 100%. So to give you an example, if I am in the kitchen busy doing something like cooking, and you walk into the room and start talking to me right away when I'm not seeing you, I can't hear very likely the beginning of what you just said. Even worse, if you speak to me from a different room. So I had to tell Elise, look, when you speak to me, speak while facing me, and speak loudly, don't cover your mouth, don't mumble, etc. And don't speak to me from another room. But Elise will forget about these things. So I had to come up with my, with a new strategy. So my strategy was dog training. I was gonna train Elise as if she was a dog, and I thought that was a good idea. So every time I couldn't hear her, I will interrupt Elise, and I will call her by the name, and I will tell her what she did wrong. Elise, you didn't speak while facing me. Or Elise, you were mumbling. Elise, I'm annoying myself now. Imagine how annoyed I was to her. So obviously, I thought this was a great idea, and I kept going. I took it one step further. I introduced the marks on the wall. So we had a chalkboard at home. So I said, Elise, every time you make a mistake, we're going to make a mark on the wall. Actually, it didn't work out because, believe it or not, I realized one day that she wasn't a dog. What really worked, we decided a couple of ground rules. The first rule was that we will always speak in the same room, no exceptions. And the second rule was the attention rule. So Elise will always try to get my attention first, and I will always give my attention to her. So I will stop doing something and tune in. This worked because we were both relaxed. And we were open to accept criticism. And it wasn't like I was trying to interrupt her all the time, which was really frustrating. And Elise even came up with her own ways of calling my attention that wasn't by using my name all the time, which is a bit awkward in the house, Gianluca, Gianluca. So what she did was to start using filler words. So before starting to speak to me, she would start saying, by the way, or you know what. And this was great because it gave me the time to tune in. And I miss much less now, but I still miss things. But the beautiful thing is that I don't get frustrated anymore because I know that she cares. Thank you.
Gianluca Ciambetta! Amazing. Oh, that's so good. We have one more storyteller this evening. Are you up for that? Oh, you've been great, and everyone's been great so far. This next storyteller is someone I'm very proud to know. You're gonna absolutely love her. Please start whooping and cheering and applauding for the amazing Harriet Dyer.
Right there. Wear an outfit that sums up mental health. You're welcome. That's my thing. I've got bipolar, and it's caused some mayhem in my relationships. Got a boyfriend at the bit, and he's like proper the one. It's absolutely lovely, so I doubt you want to hear about that. Before such an understanding boyfriend, this guy I was seeing had a problem with me doing stand-up comedy, I think, because I'm melting. Because I think he thought it questioned his masculinity. I don't think that's what I meant, no. And so he kept telling me that his job was more important and all of that. And then one day we were in bed, and he was telling me how good he'd be at comedy. So he was pretending there was a front row of women. They were women in the front row, and he was like, "Yeah, if you don't laugh at my jokes, you're obviously lesbians." Yeah, that's who I was dating, and then he's seen my medication when I was taking it by my bed. He's asked what it was, and I'm quite an open book, so I said what it was, and he goes, "Does that mean you're gonna kill me in the night?" It didn't mean that, but if you carry on talking. The first time I thought I was in love, I was at uni, and this guy, I just couldn't believe that someone like him would be interested in me. He was so good looking, but there were like signs that maybe wasn't to be. Here was a sign. Once we're in bed, and I've woken up in the night with a very wet back, and I've gone, "Why is my back wet here, pal?" And he said, "Sorry, babe, I dreamt you were a urinal." Dreamt was a urinal, weed up my back in the night. That's not a keeper, is it? And then, when I was a keeper, when I was at uni, there was this girl that I probably worshipped the ground she walked on. I thought she was wonderful. She was a really strong, independent woman, really funny, really liked her. So she became my best friend. And then after a while, going out with this guy, I said to her, like my best friend, I said, "Something doesn't sit right with me. I don't know, I don't trust him. There's something not right." And because obviously she's my best friend, so I've opened up about stuff and all that. And she's gone, "No, Harriet, this is just your mental health is just telling you this. It's all in your head." I was like, "Oh, all right." And then when I spoke to him about it, he said the same thing. So I was like, "Oh, okay, that's what's happened." They were together, right? Yeah, how bad's that? They were getting together. And then when I proper caught them in it, they were doing the whole, "Yeah, but this is because of your childhood, Harriet, and this and that." So it wasn't even what they'd done. It was the fact that they were using all that against me. And I was livid. I was livid. And so they were just like lying at me, and I punched them both in the face. But because I'm not a fighter, I've punched them both in the forehead, right? And I've broke both my hands, right? Honestly. And then, because there's just such horrible people, and that wasn't enough, so then I've gone home. And then she's rang the police, right? So then the next morning, I'm in my halls of residence, and I've got woken up by the police, and they've arrested me. So then I've been carted to a prison cell with this, they just put me in the cell with this guy, and he had just one tooth. And then he's just chatting nonsense like me. He said that he invented toothpaste, right? And it made me laugh after all this nonsense. And then so I've gone, "Mate, I don't think you did invent toothpaste." And he's gone, "No, if you think about it, if someone with lots of teeth invented toothpaste, it'd be called teethpaste." I thought, you can't really argue with that, really. And that is, honest to God, is on my record forever. Like, I used to do teaching, and that is just so sad that is on my record. Thanks ever so much. Cheers.
those you've heard tonight. Ruby McKellar,